When I began working on our indie game, I wasn't exactly sure where to start. I just had that type of passion for games that would keep me up at night from ideas that I wanted to contribute and serve different flavors to the game industry. Take risks, creating something innovative or refreshing in new game mechanics, create iconic characters and stories people cared about, make something that's fulfilling and complete. It wasn't like I could go to the store and grab some strategy guide or roadmap to tell me where to go. And despite playing hundreds of games in my lifetime, you would think I would know somewhat what to do. But that's only like 0.5% of making games. I had just got laid off, out of work, and I literally had like $200 to my name. When I took the leap, the fear and doubt definitely kicked in where it could. But at this point, all I had was my faith and willpower to move me forward. I just knew that I had to start somewhere and that the rest would take care of itself. So I really started thinking, y'all, and I was like, all right, first things first, I have to find somewhere to stay. So there was a friend from my faith that was like, hey, I got a room in the basement that you could rent out for the meantime until you figure out what you're gonna do. So I was like, all right. So I pulled up to the basement, which I call the dungeon because that's what it was like. And I paid my rent and I went into the room and I was like, oh man, I guess this is what it is, but I gotta do it for right now. I was just like, all right, what do I do, y'all? What do I do? I heard this voice in my head that was like, yo, stop fearing and just start, bro. Stop fearing and start. I was like, what, start a game? It's like, yes, get started. So that's exactly what I did, man. So I hit up my brother from another mother. I hit up Chris Carter because he was a 2D concept artist where I had met in college. And I had always loved Chris's work. This was one of Chris's first pieces that I saw of my favorite Ninja Turtle, Donatello. And I was like, oh yeah, man, I definitely gotta be friends with this guy. And he was all about like epic stuff, just like I was, like action heavy, epic stuff, like just over the top. And so I told him a vision that I had for a company. I was like, hey bro, look man, I want to build something that really connects with gamers, that's intimate, that's vulnerable, that's transparent. And I want to build something from the principles of our faith because he shared the same faith as me. I was like, we can be that epic thing that has that foundation while making games that are crazy fun. And he was like, bro, that sounds amazing. I'm in. I already had Chris and myself on the 2D and 3D side. So I was like, we need programmers, engineers. So at the time I knew a good friend of mine in my faith named Charlie. And Charlie, he was an engineer. And I was like, hey Charlie, man, I'm working on some games. I just got laid off of WB Games. I told him the concept of the company and everything and the type of games we wanted to build. He was like, yeah, I'm definitely up for that. So it was me, Charlie, and Chris, and we started prototyping stuff, y'all. So we started prototyping this premise where the characters would demolition old and non-sustaining homes and build new and sustainable homes. And we started in Game Maker, and so I started building assets in 3D, and the game's objective was to pretty much try to destroy everything or blow up everything in the house with the least amount of bombs as possible. So you had these little bomb potions on the right. We worked on that a little bit, and it was kind of a little traction, but not quite. So we stopped working on that, but what was important was that we got started, y'all. So right around this time, I had got some news, y'all. My mom had called me, and my mom's just like, hey, your Aunt Dinah caught cancer. She just got diagnosed. I went from Massachusetts to Maryland for a little while to help out my mom and my aunt. And this is when I really started thinking about the logo of the company because I was like, all right, I was just thinking like, we're going to prevail. We're going to power through this, right? I was like, we're going to overcome this. So I started thinking of like a strong lion and the Lion of Judah. Any strong lions I started thinking of in my head, but the Lion of Judah specifically from my faith, like I started thinking about that strength, So here's the designs that I came up with, and I was like, what's the name gonna be? And I couldn't really come up with a name right at the moment, so I was like, all right, we're just gonna call it like Rising Games or something like that. And I was just like, this sounds whack, but we're gonna go with it for right now. And I was like, all right, how exactly do you go about building a game? Like, what's the first things you do? I started building a game design document for Big Boy, Little Boy. And, this is pretty much what I had. Like, I had details in terms of what platforms it would be on, who was our target audience. I had things like, how the game will play out, what the little boys would do, what the big boys would do, the enemies, and so forth. And at this point, I was still iterating because I was like, all right, Rising Games got to go. Like, that's not gonna be called what the company's called. I was like, all right, we're kind of getting some momentum. We gotta establish our brand, right? So came up with the name Bare Hand. And where Bare Hand came from, it was something that me and my homies used to say all the time. We'd be like, oh, you got a job interview, bro? Yo, bare hand that, bro. Oh, you got a test tomorrow? Yo, bare hand that test. Oh, you got a game or something that you got to plan, or a track meet or anything? Bare hand that, bro. I was thinking about my aunt and her cancer. And I was like, yo, she's going to bare hand this cancer, bro. We going to bare hand this cancer. We're going to bare hand this game. And I was like, yo, that's the name of the company. Bare Hand. That's it. From here, we're still doing prototypes. And Charlie was like, all right, Charlie was pretty much like, all right, I have a lot of stuff to do for work. So he was like, but I want to introduce you to somebody. It's somebody that I've known for a while. And he was telling me, he was like, he's transitioning from like corporate world to the game industry. And he really wants to make a game right now. So I ended up meeting Nick, the very first programmer on Big Boy, Little Boy, y'all, on Seed. And him and I, like, we just clicked. I instantly told him like what we wanted to do with our games. So he was like, bro, I'm with that. Like, definitely. He's like, I'm ready to go now. So, Nick and I continued the prototyping process. I had this idea, right? I was like, okay, what if the big golem that can create the small golems could create like an ice golem? He could throw the ice golem could then form into a block. And that block, you could either punch it into something or you can climb on top of the block for platforming. So he was like, oh, that sounds cool. Okay, let's get started with that. And then at that time, I was like, okay, we got to find some better 3D models. So I hit up my boy Billy, who also was a part of Layoff Wave. So he started prototyping models. And I tell y'all, I got so hyped when I saw the prototype models that he came up with, man. I was like, yo, look at this. Like, it's finally coming. It's coming together, y'all. It's coming together. I'm hyped. And then Chris also started doing some concept art for golems and things like that. At that time, this was the first prototype that we officially had for Big Boy, Little Boy. We was exploring the ideas. Like, I was so excited to just see stuff working. We had the ice block Little Boy where you could throw the ice block. We had a bomb Little Boy where you could throw bombs at enemies. You could punch the ice block. You could pretty much like block enemies with the ice block. You can jump on top of the ice block. We had that stuff going, but the thing was, it wasn't really fun, so it was a flop. So at this time, I'm like, okay, we're getting momentum, but we don't quite have something fun. And we were just iterating and trying to work on things. And I was like, all right, I think I should try to meet more game developers or, get inspiration from, outside or events and things like that. And so at this time, I had pulled up to PAX East 2014, y'all. Yeah, man, just here at PAX, man, it's real motivating right now. Just seeing all these games here, it's awesome, man. Walking through the indie alley right now. Got a crowd right there. That's what I want to do right there. Look at that crowd. They got a crowd on their indie booth. That's how you're supposed to do it. Online is cool, but like, there's nothing like that experience of being around your friends when you're like playing games. That social interaction, man, it's great. I miss that, So shout out to Super Giant Games, man. I love Bastion. I love Transistors. Cool. I love the art style. I love what you guys are doing. I'm gonna be up there with y'all one day. Bare hand, we in here. Yeah, boom. We in there. We gonna be here. We gonna have a booth. You gonna see it. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people probably remember this huge giant thing from Evolve. And I was just meeting all type of game developers here and indies, man. The indies was wow. I had got so much inspiration from the indies here. And I was just telling people what I was doing. They was like, wow, that's awesome. Keep going. I would even get suggestions from people or tips about game development and designing a game. And this was exactly what I needed to like build some more momentum, to think about exactly what we were gonna do and working on the game.
can't fast forward anything. You can't fast forward life. And also as well, you can't get time back. So you can't waste time. Time doesn't wait for anyone. Right now, the clock is ticking. But you just got to keep working and just have faith in God that, He's going to open doors, that He's going to create opportunities. And it's like just seeing this is a blessing from Him. Just to push me to work harder. I don't want to be an attendee anymore. Next time I come here, I want to have a booth. I would like for our team to have a booth. Nice big booth. Great game for it. Bringing the crowds around,
Looking back on the layoff, it was definitely a blessing in disguise. And even today, I think to myself, like, if it didn't happen, if that door didn't close, would I be on the path of the opportunity that I have right now? I mean, we created a vision, man. Like, we built a team. And even though it wasn't fun, we did one of the hardest things, which was get started. We got started with a prototype. I just had complete confidence that Bare Hand had a bright future on the horizon and that the promise had already been fulfilled in the ethereal realm. What happens next is a very important factor that determines the core theme and gameplay of our game. So what you think? You want to find out? Or you want to hit that subscribe button and catch up with it later? Either way, peace and blessings, and thank you for joining our journey.